Oscar Piastri is leading the World Championship. That's right, Aussie Oscar Piastri leads the World Championship, and that's going to be our headline act throughout this episode. Welcome to Beyond the Racing Line. I'm joined by Shane and Tristan tonight. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, mates.
How are you going? How are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
Oh, not too bad.
Welcome back.
How wonderful is it that we've got an Australian leading the championship?
First time since Japan 2010.
Mark Webber.
Yep.
It's a strange feeling, isn't it? I always thought Danny Rick was
it?
going to be in this situation at some point in time.
Yeah, I think it started looking like that when he first sort of burst into Red Bull, but then it just sort of didn't quite go his way after a little while. But yeah, Mark Webber that time, and then they obviously all went into that last race with the four-way battle. In contention, yes.
Yeah, so anyway, it's wonderful. It's Tristan's just removed the boom mic from its spot.
Wouldn't have even known.
And anyway, it's so it'll be an interesting, I think, episode, because now all of a sudden there's something to really play for, and I'm looking forward to unpacking it. We're going to have all the goodies, all the bits and pieces. But before we get there, we need an opening question. Last week, we've had a couple rolling back to some of the good oldies of favourite movie. And what was last week's? Was that favourite movie?
That was last week's. Yeah, it was.
This one, what's your favourite concert you've ever been to? Favourite concert that you've ever been to? Now, I'll be interested in Shane's, because I know Shane's a Kylie Minogue lover. And Tristan, I must say, actually,
yep,
a lot of love for Devil's Wear Prada.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
good.
I was pleasantly surprised. I need to go back and watch it, because I'm not against these movies. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yep.
And
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you to those people that wrote in or called in or whatever they do, and how they get in touch with you.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. It's a good movie.
I'm a little bit concerned. There's been more support for Shane and the way that he's
just goes
going into the episode. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe let's get some more support for me. Everyone out there listening?
It's all about Roger. It's all about Roger.
Always that. No,
feeling a bit unloved, Roger.
No. Go, send the feedback, because I really love reading the feedback. And even send through things that you want us to improve. People are very kind to us, and they generally only send us really nice stuff. Be kind with your feedback, but send us through things you want us to improve, and try and share the podcast around. I do get every now and then some people that will send me something about how they've been put onto the podcast by a friend, and I love it ever since. So tell us your stories about, share the podcast. Let's see the weirdest way we can get people sharing the podcast.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
We remember really early days when we started, where we had people send in a photo of where
they
listen.
I love that.
Where they listen from.
Yeah, there's some mountains in backgrounds in cars.
Yeah,
and things.
I remember someone sent in one of them at Silverstone, like sitting in the car park at Silverstone because they worked close by to the track.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a pretty cool one.
It's a pretty cool one. So, do you want my coconut water? Because it's putrid.
So we're drinking, because this is part of our opening segment now. We're drinking
water.
As part of the drink around the world with the Formula 1 circuit. We're currently drinking O2 coconut water. Now, I went through a few different variations of what we're going to drink tonight. There was a yogurt-based drink. Tristan?
Yep.
How do you think you would have gone with yogurt-based drink?
Yeah, all right, because I like yogurt.
Well, so this
drinks.
is have you ever had one?
Yeah, yogurt. Like, you can have drinking yogurt. It's just
I've
like
never,
a thing.
I can't say I've ever had one.
Really?
And so anyway, one of the drinking, this drink that is consumed quite popularly in Saudi was it was yogurt, salt, a little bit of water, and some mint. I was like,
okay.
I could go about making it, but it didn't really sound up my alley. Then I was going to make some rose water, but then I couldn't find sparkling rose water like they have on the grid.
Yeah. On
the podium, sorry. Couldn't find that.
That would have made sense.
And then, so I went to some coconut water, because that is something that is also we're going to be very well hydrated.
If I was to describe it...
Have you had coconut water before?
Yeah, but like in a smoothie. Okay. On its own, I could describe it as watered down glue. It's the best way to describe it.
Okay.
I'm actually finding it quite enjoyable, to be honest.
Really?
I've never actually had it solo like
Haven't you?
that. No.
No, I've had it in smoothies.
I'll see.
Masked.
I hate it in things.
Masked
unless it's
by
got
other
rum
things.
with it. I mean, put some rum with this, and it's
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah.
But no, I like it by itself, but I hate it in smoothies. And
Yeah,
things.
right. No, it's yeah.
Not for you.
No, it's not for me. But the tea's back.
We have got some tea.
I like the
There is
tea.
some tea, and there's some beer for when we get over the
And I
whole
bought a cider
non-alcohol
for.
thing. I was very, very close to getting non-alcoholic beer. I was like, oh, well, that's the way to go, isn't it? And then I went to reach out to grab the non-alcoholic Heineken.
And you had like a
Yeah, and then it's like my hand was just
Like had an out of-
closed before
melted.
it got there, and I
an
almost
out of
punched the whole
body
thing.
experience.
Yeah, so I couldn't do it. Unfortunately, it was just like, oh, what's the point?
I can just imagine someone watching in the supermarket, like convulsing.
Yeah,
Like, ugh,
drink
I
responsibly.
can't grab it.
Drink responsibly, and we are because we are being
Because we're drinking
well
water.
hydrated.
Yeah, it's water from coconuts.
Best concert you've been to, Shane?
I cannot put my finger on which one.
Oh, give us a couple.
So I've been to, actually, like one of the earlier ones I went to was actually Billy Joel at Kooyong.
Billy Joel.
It was
at Kooyong.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
What's so that's the
Old
tennis.
tennis where they used to have the Australian Open. I actually went
Right.
to John Farnham there too, so showing my age.
Yep.
With the parents dragged me along. But I love Billy Joel there. Kylie Minogue, I've seen Kylie Minogue. My favourite band's Crowded House, so I've been there in the Palais. But one of the most unusual Crowded House concerts was actually at the Cobram Baruga Sports Club.
You're
For
right.
some reason, they went up there, and I went there, and it was very up close and personal, so it was pretty cool.
Nice.
So Bon Jovi, didn't really like the Guns N' Roses one a couple of years ago. That wasn't as good as I thought.
Pass
But,
it.
Yeah, but Pink was sensational. All the theatrics that go with the Pink concert.
Who'd you go to that with?
Kylie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Minogue.
And did she do the whole swinging on the
Yeah, did all the
acrobatics?
swinging and all
Yep.
those sort of
Yes,
things.
I would really like to see that. What's that? What are you laughing at?
Just me.
Yeah. He's laughing at the Kylie Minogue joke
Oh,
in there.
right.
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
Okay. What's the best one you've been to?
I reckon that Powderfinger concert that we went to many, many years ago was my favourite.
That was a long time.
It was
ago.
a very long time
We
ago.
spoke about that after.
We
the
did
night, didn't
actually. I think we
Mm.
talked about, and then
The only person who's ever stopped for a power nap that I've ever known, driving
To a concert.
on the way. No, I was on the way home.
On the way home.
And it was. But yeah, I was like, at that stage, like we were 18-year-olds. No one ever
not
stopped for a
even-
power
yeah,
lap.
no.
Well, I had to be 18 because we were driving.
Yeah, I
but,
was to say, yeah.
but yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is revolutionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw Ziggy Albert's, 4 years ago. I reckon it would have been now Sydney Myer Music Bowl. That was fantastic. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
That's a good venue, isn't it?
it's very good,
Went
isn't
to a
it?
Split Ends reunion thing there, and they had Split Ends, Crowded House, and Hunters and Collectors.
Yep.
All played there. And the very first Oz Music Day was at at Sydney Myer Music Bowl, and that was pretty cool.
Yuki Tsunoda's a big Ziggy Albert's fan.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
That
just
surprises me.
No, exactly. I would have thought I'd like him. I
Yeah.
might need to give him another go, but
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. He just seemed a bit.
So they're two best I've
cheesy.
been to.
A little
Yeah.
bit of F1 and music, combination that Jacques Villeneuve was engaged to Danny Minogue.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know
Well,
that.
yeah. So when he was at the height of his career, and she actually still visits a lot of F1 races because of her connections from that time.
Yeah, right. And so does Kylie. Kylie's on the
Kylie,
grid
it got
quite
dragged
often.
along. Yeah, as well.
One of my favourites, I reckon, would have to be Kings of Leon in Hyde Park. But it wasn't actually. I don't think I paid to be in the concert. I think I was on the outside.
Yeah.
But it was like mid-afternoon and their songs, big anthems, just ringing across Hyde Park. It was sensational. So Kings of Leon, probably one of my favourites. Big day out early, get knocked out in the mosh pit
Early days, well.
when I was quite young. But yeah,
Kings of Leon played at Singapore 2 years ago when we were there.
Oh, yeah.
With Post Malone as well.
oh yeah,
So that was it.
we've never all those acts that have at the Grand Prix, Tristan,
Yeah, we've never...
never bothered to
Because we walked
hang
past
around.
them. But I mean, I don't know, we probably should, shouldn't we?
We should. There's good acts.
Yeah.
Yeah. By that stage of the day, though, you're pretty much
Well, we've
ready
spent
to go. Yep.
literally every waking minute staring at the track. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Anyway, that was my question. So thank you very much to me for supplying that question. I couldn't remember if someone had sent me in one, but I've been meaning to do that one for a while. So look at me go on fire. It was a Jeddah track once again. Saudi Arabia, what a racetrack! It is the modern day Monaco. This joint, isn't it? The speeds that they hit and the way that they just move towards a wall and then all of a sudden get that car moving, it just takes confidence of a supreme level, doesn't it?
It's amazing just watching some of that real close to the turn-ins and things like that.
Oh, it is just incredible, and just I really liked. I think it was Max that said, if you mess up one corner, the next 7 corners are screwed. And it's just, I love laps and love racetracks that have that such an important element to them in terms of getting that rhythm, getting that flow going. Yep. Someone else had mentioned that you couldn't really just go out and do one lap. You really got to get into your flow state. And I think it's really developed a really great spot on our calendar. I was worried that it sort of lost a little bit of its allure last year, but after a really fantastic first year. But no, I really thoroughly enjoyed the weekend. We saw a really busy race weekend in terms of coming off a triple header. It sort of looked like everyone had been through those 3 races. It felt like there's a lot of teams that were sort of just catching up, just keeping on top of things. And this next racetrack sort of did the next part to them in terms of having to go again one more time. And I thought it was a really interesting race weekend for that aspect. Thoughts on any of the practice sessions, boys?
They're all pretty well behaved across the practice sessions, weren't they? And I think they probably went into that mindset.
We saw a Sonoda crash, did we?
Saw a Yuki.
Yeah, he put it in the wall.
Yeah, he did. Very
late in the set.
FP2, I think it was. It was really late FP2. He'd already done his laps and done the install and then the fast laps as well. So but outside of that, pretty well behaved. I reckon they all would have been well aware of the cost of any error across a practice session, especially at Jeddah. So I dare say they just eased into it, as most of them should. So, yeah, a little bit uneventful practice, but that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like Red Bull were chasing their tails a little bit through practice. It looked like McLaren were going to run away with quite some margin. And that turned around as soon as qualifying kicked off. Qualifying, all of a sudden we saw it was way tighter than what we were expecting, and the McLarens weren't quite where they wanted to be. And yeah, it was an interesting little qualifying session, highlighted by the Lando Norris big hit in the final, in Q3.
Q3,
It wasn't the final part of Q3,
no,
was it?
It was
his
first
run.
First flying lap in Q3, yep.
Yep, and so, sort of bottled it in the end, didn't he?
I didn't think it was a huge error. It's just...
No, but it was the error.
You could feel it was going to come. Like, I know I was the entire quali session. It was just waiting for someone to do exactly that. I felt like it was going to be a big name. If it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be George, or it was going to be Charles, or it was going to be Lewis.
And I think one of the commentators said up until that time they'd all sort of left a little margin for error.
Yep.
In the lead up to that, but they're going to have to sort of reduce those. And there they might have been Crofty, I reckon. And he was absolutely spot on because, lo and behold, one of the championship leader and probably the favourite for the race weekend because he looked like he had most of the pace for the McLaren boys and seemed to have it over Max. But managed to put in the wall, and that was that, and certainly made a big difference to that race. Max, once again, loves this track, just gets into those fast, high-speed corners, gets into his flow state, finds that rhythm, and Red Bull pulled off a bit of an interesting manoeuvre where they fueled the car for 2 laps, and they're going to change tyres between the 2 laps. But they weren't going to bring it in because they weren't going to have enough time, and that paid dividends for them. That really seemed to work for them really well. McLaren didn't have the same opportunity and got done by 1/100th of a second. I think it was in the end, wasn't it?
Yep. It was 1,000th earlier, and then
it was.
It was too. Yeah.
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely.
And that sort of set the tone for the race, didn't it?
Oscar seemed in that qualifying just mucked up that first. I think he had the fastest second and third sector, but just couldn't quite nail that.
On
sector.
scrub though, I thought the first run he went out on scrub tyres, which is why it was a little bit slower. I could be wrong there.
I'm not sure. Yeah, no, he had 2. He had 2.
He had 2 new sets.
Newies. Yeah,
someone went out on scrubs.
I think the McLaren boys both had newies, and Verstappen, and there was one other, but I can't remember. Yeah. But so no, it was. Is it the best qualifying track on the calendar.
Oh, absolutely it is. It is.
In terms of our qualifying format,
yeah,
it is a really great track.
And not even for the result year on, year out. Like, it's just, it's the spectacle and the event of what qualifying is. It's so high speed and so high risk.
Yep.
But again, the opposite of that is the reward is you're on bowl.
Yeah.
Like, if you're brave enough to put it as close as you can and use every inch of that track, then your reward is very, like I said, very similar to Monaco. If you're brave enough.
I was going to say it's not the most important.
No.
One.
But the reward is as high as what it is at Monaco.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we found worked our way into what was now an intriguing race, because probably an Oscar on pole, not necessarily here. I always find tracks that have their pole position on their without the inside line. I mean, you get the racing line here, and you get that further on down the track. But when you've got that inside line to that first corner, there's always that chance, isn't there, that someone's going to go bomb down there and be able to beat you to that first corner. And that's what we saw. We saw an intriguing race with Max in what we thought wasn't quite the fastest car, but Oscar having to start right along beside him, the other McLaren further back. We saw that race into that first corner, and then that's probably the most controversial incident throughout the race weekend. Thoughts on that one, Tristan?
I think,
for those who didn't see it, and occasionally there's people who didn't see it.
Yep.
We saw Oscar beat Max to the first corner and make his way down the inside. Max was alongside him.
Yep.
At the apex, I think.
Yep.
At the apex.
Yep.
And both cars ran wide. Max ran across the corner, cut the corner because there wasn't room.
Yep. And
he drove off into the distance and gained a fair advantage.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Agree with everything you said there. Should have
all those are factual.
Couple of points to it that I want to make. Penalty. I'm not sure about the penalty of the 5 seconds. I think that Red Bull backed themselves in those situations where if Max makes that judgment call to cut the corner and then keep that lasting advantage, I think they back themselves in that there's going to be no repercussion for that, which is good on them as a team. Like, they're brave enough to do that. 9 out of 10 times it comes back as a penalty, and then we have that sort of, narrative around Max is penalised all the time. So really, what they should have done is hand the spot back and then go again. Yep. They should have been smart enough in that situation, because once it was done, and then we had those couple of laps after Tsunoda's crash was cleaned up, then, I mean, they could have just given it back and then gone again. And he probably wins. He really does, to be honest. Like,
I disagree that he probably wins.
So I think he does, and that's what frustrates me about the fact that they didn't just say give it back, and they should have done that. They've had so much experience in that exact instance and that exact scenario. Just to be, I think we saw Alonso did it mid-race, where he cut the corner, gave the position straight back, and I think he got it again on Hadjar before he picked it up later.
You can understand him not wanting to give up position, because particularly at that point of their race, the prediction was if McLaren can get out in front, they're going to drive away with it.
Yeah,
and I actually still think they would have. I don't think we ever really saw the true pace of that McLaren, particularly at that moment in time.
Yeah,
but
Oscar on his last lap of the whole race when he said his PB on the last lap.
Yeah, exactly.
He had a fair bit.
I think there was still a little bit there, so I can understand them not wanting to give up that track position and just roll the dice. I mean, the other option is, well, we might be able to get down the road enough.
Yeah,
and that's.
And then the 5 second penalty becomes obsolete, which again they've done in the past. It's off you go, and then come back and we're fine. So that makes sense there too.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what they should have done.
Did they get the penalty right?
I mean, kind of yeah, kind of no. We always have that notion of first lap, first corner, you kind of call play on. I think the profile of...
You know how I feel about that.
I know how you feel about that. The profile of this corner magnifies how that is probably not the right way to go, just because of how slow you have to enter and exit turn one, as opposed to, how quickly you get across. Very similar to Mexico. How quickly you get across when you get turn 1 and turn 2 incorrect there as well.
I just hate that ability to cut that corner for turn 1.
Yeah.
Because of that such long-lasting advantage,
True.
particularly at the moment. It just, like, if you're out in front, these cars love clear air.
Yeah.
If you're out in front, it's such an advantage. I don't think it should be an availability.
If
there's a wall there,
there
was a wall there, what happens in this situation?
Everyone backs off, don't they? Like you just
not everyone. There's one driver that has to back off there if there's a wall there.
Yeah.
Max has to drop back,
and there was room for him to do that
into position, and that's the thing. So for me, he made that choice. He was beaten to the apex just, but the inside driver had the line. He was beaten to the apex just. Max did his usual thing of off the brakes, steam into the corner, and then we'll work on it from there, which it works for him. I mean, the man's won world championships doing this manoeuvre, but that's his play, and in the past it's really annoyed me that he's been allowed to make that play, not make the corner, and gets away with it because he wasn't afforded room, because he was first the apex, which he wasn't in control of the apex, or it's a first corner incident. So I actually really like that they made this call. I honestly believe he deserved 10 seconds. Because, and I know it's really harsh, but because of that advantage.
Did I read somewhere that they said that in the notes that it would have been a 10-second penalty if it wasn't the first lap?
Yeah. So I can sort of understand that allowance. But if that wall's there, he's backing off, he's sitting in behind, the advantage he gets over not just Piastri, but then Russell and Leclerc is nullified because he's allowed to continue on. That's why I think the 10 seconds, it worked out for Oscar. But what about the rest of the field? The rest of the field might have then picked him off if he was in traffic.
And this will be controversial, but I kind of think that Oscar pushed him a little bit more than what people think.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he pushed him and he...
With the right to, though.
Yeah, because when you look at the aerial shot in particular as well, Oscar's not doing a great deal to make that mid-corner to hug
he
run header, which he doesn't have to, and it was his corner.
And that's the thing.
But that's why I'm sort of torn between the penalty and whether yes or no it was right, because I kind of think that Oscar is, as much as we love him, he sort of showed a little bit of that killer instinct.
It was his job to do that.
Yeah, and just said, off you go.
Which is fine.
But I guess it was Max's decision not to back out of it.
So the thing is...
But again, that's okay.
The thing that everyone's forgetting
roll
here
the dice
is
with that.
Max lost the run to the corner.
Yeah.
And he lost he did not get off the line properly. He didn't make it to the corner first. That's racing.
Yeah.
If there's a wall there, he has to sit in behind. He's now in traffic. He is pickings for others. And that's the thing that annoys me, is like, we're only focusing on Piastri for this particular moment, but him being allowed to cut that corner and drive off into the distance actually kept him ahead of everybody else, kept him out of everyone else's path. That's the part I was like, 10 seconds, I can sort of understand because it's first corner to give some allowances, but I still feel like it should still be a 10-second penalty.
And with Oscar's tyres starting to go off, and he got out to 3 seconds behind, it was starting to be, hang on, there's no penalty at all, really.
We could have got to that point. Yeah, we could have got to that point where there wasn't a penalty applied at all because you had that free air.
By, especially with Lewis as well, and how strong that Mercedes was
absolutely
over the past few years.
Yeah, so it was an interesting one. I think they probably got it right in the end, but there was a part of me that was like, you know what, like, if that penalty's only focused on one driver.
Yeah.
And one driver only, whereas I think Leclerc and Russell should be a bit annoyed because he should have been within their grasp. If that Red Bull had been behind McLaren, I guarantee it's not running as nicely as what it did.
Yeah.
That McLaren, I think Oscar freed up a bit of space. He tried to keep it in check, but he freed up a bit of space because it is overheating. They talk about 4 seconds is where you want to be, so your tyres aren't being cooked. But yeah, so anyway, it was an interesting one. I think they probably got it right in the end, but yeah.
Yeah, I would have been okay.
Did we miss anything, Shane?
No, I don't think so, but it's been annoying watching Christian Horner and the Red Bull take that one overhead shot of Max ahead, but he hasn't got his foot in the brake.
I laughed at it when I saw it. I was like, that is a fantastic choice of just making your point without doing it in a way that, you could probably be fined or penalised or get the police explained.
His other evidence that he took
I appreciated the real strategic printout too.
He took to the media a strategic printout of the exact point he wanted to show. And the beauty of a printout is, unless you're in Harry Potter mode, you can't see it move. He's got access to iPads or computers that he could have brought along, and he could have paused the videos to show the media.
So or the breaking trace. Or
that's right.
Toto's comment and the thing, I have the printout. So good.
Oh my God. It's like, anyway,
I loved it.
We're moving into Dud of the Day territory for me at the moment. But anyway, what we've got away from here is we then saw Oscar then go and have one of those race weekends where Norris was probably faster in overall speed, maybe throughout qualifying. He sort of looked like he might have had the edge over Oscar, but Oscar was able to not be completely on top of things. It wasn't his best race weekend in total, but man, he got the job done. He got the win. He got the full points, and he took the championship lead, and I really liked that from Oscar. I thought he controlled the race really nicely. I think if the 5-second penalty there isn't there for Oscar, I'm not sure that he falls so far behind, or I think he has a bit more of a crack at trying to overtake Max. I think they had a bit of a crack. It wasn't working for them, so they went to plan B, which was, let's make the 5-second penalty work for us, and we don't have to go and risk anything overtaking Max. And I actually think that they just held station and let that strategy play out. And then, just seemed to control the race. Like Shane said, he seemed to be complaining a little bit of the hards not really working for him. I don't think the hards were working for anyone. I think he just sort of controlled that towards the end, and then obviously had some up his sleeve because he set the fastest sector of the whole race on the last lap.
And his own PB on the last lap as well. So.
Yeah, right. Yep. So it was a good, solid championship leading race from our man Oscar. It was stellar to watch and really enjoyed it. Did I miss anything from him?
No.
He's been building. It's been building. We've been talking about it.
Cool head, isn't it?
Yep.
Norris's race weekend, obviously made the mistake in qualifying. Come race time, he worked his way... Where did he work his way up to in the end?
Fourth in the end.
Fourth in the end. It wasn't as straightforward as what you'd hoped. He took a couple of goes to get Hamilton. Oh, actually, something on Oscar. Oscar's overtake. Holy moly. Yeah. His overtake of Hamilton was brilliant. He caught him completely napping, and it was the difference. Norris we saw take a couple of goes at getting Hamilton, took a couple of goes to learn his lesson, got burnt twice in a row. Luckily, he didn't get burnt the third time. But, it was nice to see. We talk about a few of the things that we wanted to see Oscar improve on across the race weekend, and one of those things was... tyre management. I think we can tick that off. That seems to be in a better place. Racecraft was probably one of the other things I wanted to see. Qualifying speed and then racecraft.
Oh, I thought his racecraft was always reasonable, but...
Not aggressive enough. There was times where he showed some aggression, but at times we'd sort of see Norris cruise through the field a little bit quicker. Yep. And it sometimes took Piastri a little bit longer in the last couple of years, whereas this time, it was... I'm getting the job done on Hamilton, and it wasn't like Hamilton was anything too strenuous, but we saw Norris struggle with him a couple of laps in a row. And so that cost Norris a little bit, didn't it, in that chase for the rest? I don't know. I thought it was a pretty decent effort to fourth.
It was a very good effort to fourth, I thought. I think, it was very good.
Yeah. Anyway, he's helped along, obviously, having two cars ahead of him crash out in that first lap, but he did the job and got a good recovery amount of points. I imagine if he had finished in 10th and suddenly Oscar's not 10 points ahead. Yeah, there's 20 points sort of thing. And
there's quite a big gap. Yep.
So, no, he did quite well. I had him down as 1 point, actually.
Yeah, right. Okay. After that, Max was next that we're going to talk about. Came second. It's a strong qualifying, strong race.
I thought it was a fantastic weekend again. Really, really was.
Is this Red Bull way better than you and others are giving credit for?
No.
I mentioned it mentioned it 2 races ago.
No, I said to you last week that there is a lot more to come in it, and by mid-season it will be the best.
Ooh.
It really will.
Jeepers.
Well,
That's a big call.
I said last week there's a lot more to come, and Max is making the difference at the moment. So you've got McLaren out front. There's a gap. He's filling that gap temporarily until the car comes up to speed, and then he won't be the gap between them. He will be the difference.
You're almost saying it's a flip of last year.
It is. It's going the other way. It's going the other way because that is just where they are. But he is on song with that, and that's
there's so much. I agree. Max is driving beautifully, but I don't think we're giving this Red Bull anywhere near enough credit. I think it's a lot faster than, and I think a few people started waking up to it. These sorts of tracks, this Red Bull is a good race car.
Yeah. And
we see it inconsistent on tracks with lots of medium corners. It's got a real problem going through those medium corners.
Yep.
But even in really slow corners, it's fine. But in those fast speed corners, this Red Bull's pretty decent, and you can't discount it at the moment. I agree. I think there's improvement still to come.
There's so much more under that.
But you can't discount it at the moment because I think it's a fast race car on the right circuits. So I don't think we're going to see the same at Miami. I think we're going to see it drop back again because it's not that sort of racetrack. Whereas, I think it's not. Yeah, it's not as far back as what we thought.
It's really hard to gauge because we're not getting that second driver. Be able to get that judgment from the second driver.
We're starting to though. We're starting to. It's only round 2 for him. So we're starting to see it. And
round 3.
Round 3? This is his third session. They were 5th and 6th in practice 3. Was it practice 2? He was right there behind him in FP1. And
I don't think you can make anything. I don't think you can take anything out of that because they improved so much from practice 3 into
still.
qualifying.
I mean, he's there, and he's.
Where did he qualify?
He qualified. I don't know where he qualified. Ninth, I think it was.
Okay, yeah, that's decent.
He's there in the practice session, which I think because they've got 2 that are there now, where you haven't got one that's say 5th and the other that's 19th and 20th, because they're so close to each other now. They've got 2 different setups to work with, so he'll be doing so much work, although it might not, be converting to results at the moment. But he's doing a lot of work that is then propelling the number 1 car forward. Yeah,
Yuki's problem is he just has not quite put the lap together. Like he's showing it here and showing it there, and he's not quite putting it together. A little bit like Jack Doohan has been doing. He hasn't been putting it together when it counts. True. And once he does that, then we'll get a really good evaluation, I guess, of exactly where it is.
That's right. But he's already leaps and bounds ahead of where the others were because the others weren't even getting close to putting a lap together.
He's been like his experiments.
He was
success.
He was a second off in qualifying.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right.
In which world is that ever going to be okay?
In a world that wasn't 3 weeks ago when the number 2 driver was dead last again. So it's
but that's only comparative to everybody else.
But that's okay. That's what we're comparing to at the moment. We're still in that comparison zone between him and Lawson because we're 1 race ahead. So there's the difference there. In 10 weeks' time, that's okay. I agree with you there that a second's not all right.
A second's not all right at the moment.
In about 10 rounds' time. At the moment, it's okay at the moment.
I think at the moment, okay, break-even's half a second.
Yuki had a problem in that last run in Q3, whereas he was only 0.4, I think, in Q2 behind him. So
that's in an okay place, but yeah.
And then he was unlucky in the race too because he caught Pierre.
There's absolutely no such thing as luck in that situation.
He was unlucky. He was unlucky there. He caught the inside and he got a little bit of a tank slapper on there. So I think overall as a weekend for him, it just, little incidents here and there probably caused him to have the weekend that he had. He didn't quite get it in quali. He didn't get the result in the race. Like the potential is still there.
I agree. He's on the up. I think it's like you give him some time. Absolutely better suited than Lawson.
Yep.
Couldn't agree more. I'm not entirely sure that they've found their answer yet. Is probably more where I'm coming from. Let's just wait and see.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know there isn't necessarily a right answer, but Yuki Tsunoda is very limited in where he's going to be. What's the one thing we talked about why Yuki Tsunoda didn't make that team? Because when you just think Yuki Tsunoda's going really well, what does he do?
Stuff it up.
He stuffs it up.
No, I don't think he's stuffed anything up this week.
He put himself in the wall on the first corner.
It was just little incidents
in practice
that just didn't go his way, and we've seen errors.
And that is Yuki Tsunoda absolutely down to a T.
I think you're very harsh on Yuki. I feel
that's
okay.
Absolutely, am I harsh on Yuki?
Harsh on
How long's he had in the sport?
Oh no. few years.
5 years he's been in the sport.
Yep.
And he's still making silly and little mistakes.
A lot of people making silly mistakes 5 years in.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
I reckon we probably should put Lance in there and just see how it goes.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to get to our man, Lance.
Yes.
Ferrari. Ferrari came home in third. It was nice to see the Ferrari on the podium. It wasn't quite the Ferrari we'd been hoping for at the start of the season.
No.
However, there's improvements being made, and this is very Ferrari. Across a season, they do generally make those improvements.
Yeah. The new floor, they've got a little bit of a better understanding of it. Obviously, the setup is working well. For one,
it doesn't help that one driver's not really making improvements, does it?
But yeah, again, I guess I'm kind of in the Yuki bandwagon with you, like on Ferrari here. It's just, I still don't see it as improvement enough for them. It's more gone from we've got it wrong, we've quickly corrected it, and then this week we've made the first steps to understanding where it should be.
Yeah. I'm seeing signs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they've done.
No, I know.
Turned it all around.
I think we're still a long way off. Like, we're still a long way off before they're up there with. They're sort of in no man's land at the moment. Really, like they are the Aston of 2 or 3 years ago. There are 3 clear-cut lead teams.
Only 8 seconds off.
Charles. Yeah. That's the thing. Again, it's only one.
Yeah, and it's only one. Like, Charles was good. And, like, third's nice, but the potential of what they had and what really should be.
What we thought they were going to be,
I think most people did too. Like, third is...
Charles was closing the gap to Max at the end.
They had a pretty good strategy on Charles as well.
I actually would have loved to seen them run, because they turned around and went so long on those mediums, I would have loved to have seen them run the same strategy as Lando.
They'll throw the soft on.
No, started on the hard, not the medium.
And then go the medium, split it, I just think they're still caught in no man's land. They're still, 8 seconds is nothing to sneeze about, but they're just, they're not going to be caught by Williams and RB and Haas, but they're also not anytime soon going to be catching Mercedes or Red Bull or McLaren.
Red Bull's probably a bit the same. They're in this race to get as much done as they can before they can't do any more because they've got to move on to
You've got that hope there
year.
With Red Bull. You look at Max and the Red Bull and you're like, you can see that there is the potential to catch McLaren.
Yeah.
But I can't look at a Ferrari and go, you've got the potential to catch Mercedes because it doesn't even look.
There's a few teams that
like it's going to,
or a few engineers I've heard speak that it's really important to understand the car you're working on before you work on next year's car.
Yep.
Because there's going to be quite a few elements that are taken across, and you've got to have an understanding of those things. So it's not like they can completely just give up on this car like Aston Martin are. I mean, Aston Martin are going to come with a completely brand new car.
Yep.
Everything's going to be completely changed on that, whereas a few concepts I think are going to be carried across.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a step in the right direction for Ferrari. I'm with you. It's not a big enough step.
No, it has to be.
And the Hamilton situation is getting a little bit depressing at the moment.
So 5 rounds in, it's not working, is it?
Not at all.
It's not working.
31 seconds behind Leclerc.
It's not working.
It's like, I know he has to comment because people are asking him questions.
He was beaten by science, wasn't he?
Yep. No.
Was being beaten at some stage.
But I am sick to death of Suki depressed Hamilton.
It's not working.
It's completely different than what you said at the start of the year when you saw Hamilton up and about and all enthusiastic.
Yeah, that's right. Like
loving life.
I know he has to comment on these things, but my God, it's just I don't know whether I'm disappointed because I wanted to see a bit of a battle there. I wanted maybe, but I think there's. We won't go into this territory because I think there's some fan frenzy questions around this territory. But you wonder where it's going to be going. After that, we had Russell, who was previously the ex-best of the rest. He didn't quite get there. He was fifth at this race. It wasn't quite the Mercedes race. I think we've discovered that Mercedes still have a few flaws. I thought it was a bit more rounded than this, but it didn't quite stack up this time round, did it?
Well, he felt that he struggled on those hard tyres at the end, and gave up.
Which is a very Mercedes thing to do, isn't it? When those hards are strapped on, it has been typically poor on those hards at some of these tracks.
He was worried that he wasn't going to get to the end.
Yeah.
He lost. He lost nearly 20 seconds to Norris after he got overtaken by him.
Yep, dropped off completely. Antonelli did his typical Antonelli stuff. He's sort of learning his car, learning tyre management. He seems to be doing a fine job, and once again, it was a nice, steady weekend for him, wasn't it?
If we get to Monza, and that Ferrari is nowhere, and he finishes on the podium, imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine if Kimi's the lead Italian at Monza. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, they'd almost be looking at sacking Hamilton there and then on the spot and putting Kimi in there.
He's doing so well. He really is doing really well. Really is doing really well.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I'm surprised that he's
he's just a pleasant individual, isn't he?
Yeah.
I look forward to watching him grow up because I don't know what Kimi Antonelli is going to look like.
Toto was just he was just so right, wasn't he?
Is he going to be a bit like Felipe Massa?
Maybe.
Remember Felipe Massa was always just a very pleasant individual.
Yeah, maybe. But no, Toto took his time and we were like, come on, make your decision, and he was right. He was so right.
He knew what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he did, and he's got it so correct.
You can see why he was reserved though on it. Because Kimi still seems so young. Immature.
Absolutely.
And so to put a boy, you call him a boy or a man under that pressure.
Yeah.
It's a huge responsibility, and I think he just needed to be sure that he's going to be able to deal with that.
I wonder what he's thinking about the Lewis situation. I wonder what Lewis is thinking watching Kimi do
I think we saw signs of what's happening to Lewis happening at Mercedes, though, isn't it?
Toto will be sitting there going, yes, as hard as it was, I've made the right call. Fred will be sitting there going, I don't know. I don't know if this is working out at the moment.
One of the stories
imagine an Italian in a Ferrari again.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the Verstappen move comes off...
I don't think it's going to be Mercedes, to be honest.
If the Verstappen move comes off to Mercedes...
it'd
be spicy. You could potentially see George and Max in a Mercedes. Wouldn't that be fun to watch?
Yeah.
And then you could potentially see then Antonelli be a free agent and take Hamilton's spot at Ferrari.
I mean, Lewis has got 2 years. If this was the path for the rest of the year, and even a drop off from here, they'd be asking the question, going, we need one more year here with him? Or?
But it's just cruel, though.
I don't know.
Why would you do that to a young man? Put him in a Ferrari.
No, Max is not going to Mercedes at all whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form.
It's
not.
It's just. I don't think any decision's been made on that.
The nurture of George for all the years to get him there to be the team leader, and Antonelli's the future. There is no home there for Max. There just isn't.
Toto Wolff wouldn't be doing all this work for nothing. But I can't see a world where it happens.
No,
but Toto does not deny putting work into him.
Unless George openly
I've said this
walks out.
I've said this for a year that Max is going to Aston Martin, and I'm sure of that's going to happen.
This is the first time George is out of contract, isn't it? So he can put in all the performances throughout this year and then sort of be a little bit Sainz-esque where he's had a great year and then going, hey, I'm just letting you know that I might actually be free. Plenty of people would want to grab George, wouldn't you? Because he's showing his team leader quality this year. He's getting great results. So, and imagine an Alpine and say, hey, come here.
There's still questions about whether George can keep it together at the absolute top end, though.
Yeah, but for me, that's the only way Max gets to Mercedes, is if George says no.
Probably. Probably the story. One of the stories of this Grand Prix was the resurgence of Williams, the best of the rest. 2 cars in the top 10. This was apology territory, Tristan.
I don't know. It's apology territory.
It was apology territory.
But I'll recognise it this round.
Well, that's as close as we can get.
That's as close as you're going to get at the moment. If we get 2 or 3 of them in a row,
apologies if you've driven your cars off the road. We've shocked that Tristan's come to something.
No, they were very good. They were very good. Can't not go past recognising their efforts. It was very, very, very good.
Yeah,
from both of them. In particular, Sainz. Very good. And as I said, to be leading Lewis at one stage throughout the Grand Prix and qualifying 5th. He qualified 5th or 6th. I think it was 6th in the end he qualified there. Yep. But then to out-qualify 2 in a Williams, you'd be looking at that going, well, how on earth have I been out-qualified by the man I've replaced in much inferior machinery? Yep. So, he'd be scratching his head, but no, recognise really good weekend from both of them.
And they made that big mistake in qualifying with Albon. They sent him out at the wrong time.
They did,
and
they got it wrong.
He
was vocal on the radio again, wasn't he? Really vocal again. Vocal.
I think he wanted to be able to go past Sainz. Yep. Alex did, but
gee, Sainz needed this weekend, didn't he? Just to settle and just take a breath.
I think, like Sonoda, there was signs that it was coming, and it just wasn't quite coming off.
No, at all.
And whereas, this one sort of all came together for him, and he found his way, found his place, settled in nicely.
He's good around Miami, so you would hope that he'd be able to back this up with a similar.
Yeah, not sure that Williams is good around Miami.
No, but he is,
that's
and
my
I
concern,
think it seems to be just a lot of driver input this year. Just I've got that feel when you look up and down the field that the driver is able to make a distance and
he seems to need. He needs that confidence.
Yeah.
Hadjar back once again in the points. 1 point. Well, in the point. 1 point for him. But once again. If you're talking highly of Antonelli, you've got to be speaking just as highly as Isaac Hadjar.
Absolutely. New engines in the RBs for this round?
As in...
both of them?
Just fresh engines?
Just fresh engines for both of them, so that helped their results.
What is it, three engines at the moment?
3 power units.
So, three... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is the second one, so they've done the four on the first, and then what's this thing I read about no gearbox penalties this year or something like that? I don't know where I've missed that.
I was not across that
either. I was
either.
not across that either, but apparently a gearbox is a free kick this year.
I wonder if there's a certain amount you're allowed to use.
I don't know, but
because I think last year if you broke one even, or brought one out, I don't know. Anyway, interesting. Once again, Lawson had a better weekend.
It was better.
He had a penalty, didn't he, for track limits?
Yep.
Which didn't help his cause, but otherwise I think he would have been coming home in 11th and right in behind Hadjar.
He lost that one spot from that 10-second penalty.
Yeah, not that it was a points-given spot, but it would have been nice for him to come in behind Hadjar just to show that he's back on track. But I think it was probably a bit of a confidence-giving weekend, particularly on a track like this. I think if you nail a track like this, things are looking better for you. Alonso, nice to see him
getting some points
and a little bit of pep in his step. Do you think someone's from Aston Martin said, "Hey, just watch how you're talking because you're not really giving us the greatest name"?
That's fair. But you're a bit mistaken. Alonso didn't get points.
No, he didn't get points. Did I say points? 11th.
Oh, sorry. I thought points.
No.
Just missed out.
Yep, missed out on points, but was better. Was what I was alluding to. So it was much better. I don't know. He seemed to be a little bit more giving in some of his answers, didn't he? Looking at how their season is unravelling, I understand his comments at the start of the year a whole lot more. It was probably the comment that he was wanting to make was, this car is not going to be going anywhere, so stop asking me if it's going to be going somewhere.
Yeah, probably could have framed it a bit better.
Yeah, whereas he was like, I'm not going to tell you anything, it's a secret.
Yeah.
But whereas I think what he was really wanting to say is, I know they're not going to develop this car for me. I know it's going to be a piece of crap throughout most of the year. We're going to do our very best with this piece of crap, but it's just not going to go anywhere. So, Stroll was 16th. Stroll was lucky. Not lucky. He was good enough to receive an unwanted record.
Ah, yes, the most Formula Q1 exit. And then what was his...
the most Q1 exits for those people who didn't quite get that one. So most Q1 exits. So he has left qualifying in the first session more than anyone else in the history of Formula 1, which this qualifying setup hasn't been like this forever. But I think he would have it even if it had, because people don't... He's driven a lot of seasons now. And his response was, if you put the McLaren drivers in a Sauber...
For 10 years.
Why chose Sauber? He's never driven for Sauber.
Well, this is... Yeah.
For 10 years, then they would get this too. For starters, he doesn't drive a Sauber.
No.
Secondly...
Saubers have been good in the past 10... If we're talking past 10 years, this is a job for Sam or any one of our listeners. I actually want you to go back in the last decade and have a look at how many Q1 exits...
I reckon Sauber will be high.
Sauber has had.
Sauber will be high. But he's not driving a Sauber. I would understand if he was driving a Sauber. He's been in a fairly decent car.
That makes no sense.
All his teammates around him haven't been doing this.
Yep.
It's just such a sucky, la-la response. I love the journalist
so many times
who put the question to him. Like, that takes a bit of kahunas, doesn't it? To go up to... Yeah, absolutely. To go up to Lance Stroll.
Son,
and say, hey, listen, you've got the worst record in qualifying in the history of the sport.
Yep.
What do you got to say about that?
I'd be happy if my dad had that much money and I could break that record.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
No one else can hang around that long performing that badly. And that's
exactly right.
Which is... actually, he started the year on fire. Like, he's still got 10 points compared to Alonso's none.
Yeah.
But he's just, the last 3 races, he's just gone back to being, I don't give a rat's.
Yep.
That's how it looks.
Beard, Shane?
Oh, okay. Twisted my arm. Thank you.
Coconut water is very refreshing. I feel hydrated. Nice. Feel very hydrated tonight. Should have been. No, I wouldn't last in Saudi too long, actually. Where are we up to? Behrman, Ocon, 13th, 14th. A bit of a...
Yeah, it's just a bit of a nothing race, wasn't it, after the heights of last week? It was just a bit meh. It's a bit meh.
Very different track.
Yeah,
I think this track, I think
they're a track-dependent
I think lots of teams seem to be.
Yep.
But, yeah, he was 10 seconds off points was Behrman.
Yeah.
I've been reasonably impressed with him, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I thought when he went in last year and everyone got hyped up about the Ferrari, he was 20 or 30 seconds behind Leclerc that time. Yeah. But he's actually outperformed Ocon in so many of the races this year. And, as a rookie, he's done quite well.
Yep, absolutely. Hulkenberg kicks Sauber, who, look at that, ahead of Stroll. 15th, and then we had Bortoletto in 18th. We had Doohan in 17th. The Alpine, it was not their track. If you're ever going to want to impress a team, it's not in a Alpine around a track like this where that engine just does not store up enough energy. Yep. They had trouble storing enough energy for loading up the batteries at this track. So, it wasn't their spot. Mind you, Gasly did a really nice job in qualifying, which is interesting in this car. It's not somewhere that you'd expect for him to...
He has had 2 just sensational weekends.
Yeah.
Really has.
I tend to agree. I mean, one thing I will say about it is you don't have to store that. You don't have to gain that energy for qualifying. You go in with a full battery to a qualifying session and... So that's probably where the Alpine fell down during the race. But he was put on a long stint. Those tyres weren't the ones to be on, but it wasn't a good show for Doohan.
No.
However, some positive news for Doohan.
He didn't crash.
He didn't crash. Well, that's true. No, but the team have come out and said how impressed they are with him, and it's looking like he's going to be getting until at least the summer break in the car. So the pressure's been laid off.
I read that it's that was all a bit nonsense in the first.
It's in the first place, yeah. But so the pressure's been taken off, and that they're quite comfortable where he's at. They've actually been quite impressed with him. So he's just got to get it together, doesn't he? He's got to build that consistency.
Yep.
Let's go to the All Signs 3, 2, and 1. Thank you very much to All Signs. Who gets you 3 points?
Here's my 3 points
this round.
It has to be Oscar for 3 points this round for simply taking the title lead. Just that's it. Nothing more than that.
I'm going to give you that, but also for that overtake on Hamilton.
He's in front. That overtake was ridiculous.
I love that overtake on Hamilton.
He's in front.
Yep.
He's in front, and I love it. So,
rightio.
Done.
2 points.
2 points goes to Max because again, making the difference in that car. And just be wary. Be wary. Be wary of it. And 1 to Science, because it was a much-needed weekend.
Pardon?
1 to Science.
That's Science?
No, I've done my bit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, I've just actually looked at my Fan Frenzy one, and I think I might need to change it, I think.
Oh, really? We've talked you through this, have we?
Really?
Well, and I also did watch the race again today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, well done. From work, yeah.
So what have you got for me?
So, 3 to Charles. I thought he was driving very strongly at the end. I thought... to make those medium tyres work so long, it was great. I originally had 2 for Carlos. I think I was just caught up in the euphoria of Williams doing well again. So I'm going to change that 2 to Oscar, because I don't know how I could leave him out. And 1 to Lando. So good recovery for Lando.
Good luck.
Really? So he went from 2 to Science to none for Science?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go 3 for Oscar. I'm with you, but I love the overtake. It was... it was something that I've been wanting to see from him, is just those those moves, and it was really nice to see. Yeah. I'm going to go 2 to Science. Strong weekend. I'm going to go 1 to Albon. I thought Albon...
Cool.
Yeah, he drove his way back into it a little bit because they made a mistake in qualifying. So, yeah, fairly solid. Dud of the day.
Dud of the day. Dud of the day goes to Martin Brundle this week.
Ooh.
For his...
He had a couple of senior moments.
For his contradictory comments on the commentary about when Max received his penalty, of how the penalty is non-existent and isn't a correct penalty and really shouldn't be applied, and, you know, he's going to drive off in the distance and then it's not really the way that incident should have been approached, to then, a mere 5 laps later, be telling me how fantastic it was that the penalty was applied and it was correct and it has impacted his race weekend. And I was just like, what are you doing?
Oh,
what are you doing?
I missed that.
Are you with it? It was a handful of laps, and we've got 2 totally different opinions. And I was like, he hasn't even served it yet. What are you doing? Like, are we right? Are we wrong? It was bizarre. He had such a bizarre weekend.
He had a few senior moments with getting a few cars wrong towards the end.
And drivers wrong.
Calling some cars wrong. I was like, yeah, it's interesting. But anyway, everyone has an off weekend. I quite like Martin.
Murray Walker had about 10 years of them, and everyone loved him.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Done of the day, Shane?
Yeah, Yuki.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Wow.
No.
Apart from the obvious driver of the day again, because like Max has lost a position and has won driver of the day. According to that, so it's really starting to get on my nerves, as I've said each week. But Yuki, he's taken out potential points.
Okay, all right.
And taken out Gasly.
Yep, I'm with you. That incident, actually, we didn't discuss. Yuki at fault? Close to racing incident. But I had it at Yuki at fault.
Just. Pierre could have possibly backed out of it. But
did racing incident for me.
I wouldn't have been disappointed. Well, I mean, that's what they decided, wasn't it, in the end?
Yep.
I don't think they decided anyone's at fault. But I'm okay with a racing incident. I think if there was maybe 60% Yuki, 40% Gasly, I think that's probably where I'm sort of sitting on that one.
Yep.
Just also with his incident in the wall in practice and things like that. He needs to stay clean.
This is my point. This is just Yuki Tsunoda 101 at the moment. It's just when you think he's making all this ground, he goes and makes some silly mistakes, and that has been him through his career, which is why I've never been a believer of him in this Red Bull. But I am enjoying seeing his progress, and I think there is progress coming. For me, Dud of the Day has to go Christian Horner. He has lost all credibility when it comes to backing up Max. He's better off saying nothing at the moment because the way he's treating people like idiots with some of the images he's bringing to them and the way that he's trying to talk to the audience. And if the only thing he's doing is discrediting himself and his team at the moment when he opens his mouth in these situations. Max isn't that far off it either. But this whole business of I can't talk, otherwise I'm going to be penalised, that's rubbish. Just don't swear. We want to hear your opinion on it. And whether that's changed. It's just such a cheap get-out for me for that one. But no, Horner gets my dud of the day. I've got a hero of the hour.
I do too.
Do you?
Yeah.
And mine is one of the most unlikely heroes of the hour that I'll ever come out of my mouth.
Okay.
There's a man called Helmut Marko. He's my hero of the hour.
2 weeks ago, you threw like a tantrum.
Oh, there was
3
more than
weeks
a tantrum.
ago.
More than
a
tantrum.
tantrum. It was nothing short. Continue.
Yeah. What was that about again?
Him. It was
he deserved that.
Oh, the way he treated one of the drivers.
Yes, that's right. The way he ranked all the drivers. Yeah, that prick. But no, he's my hero of the hour this week.
Right? Why?
Because he's nominated Seb to take his role at Red Bull.
Well,
and I think that is the smartest thing I've ever heard. I love Martin's comment around it. Well, it'd certainly be a different approach, wouldn't it?
Of course.
But I think it would be such a great job for Seb. I'd love to have him in the sport.
I don't care what Seb does. You remember, the role I talk about, the guy that sweeps the pit box? I'd love Seb to do that. I don't care what Seb does. I just want him back.
No, I think hero of the hour because Helmut Marko, it was so unexpected, nominated someone to take his spot And I was just, anyway, it was fresh and refreshing, and I pitched it for a moment, and I smiled, and I was like, absolutely, that'd be a great spot for
I like that.
It came up last year, actually. I think it got raised last year, the possibility of it happening.
Yeah.
My hero of the hour is Davide Valsecchi, who is commentator for, I think it's Viaplay, and also featured on F1 Nation podcast as well. Last week I watched him, and there's like a little bit of a viral clip going around of him pronouncing driver names in just the most hyped up way. And then I listened to him on F1 Nation last week as well. And he is just the most vibrant and interesting and passionate commentator that I have heard for a very long time. And I was fixated by his voice and what he had to say and his input too. He's an ex-F2 driver as well. But I had such a phenomenal interest in him and everything he had to say. And I tell you what, we need people like him on the broadcast because he is fantastic to listen to.
If you haven't got skills, bringing passion to this sport brings you such a long way, doesn't it?
So excitable. Yep. So Davide Valsecchi, he's my hero of the hour, and I tell you what, we need him on the broadcast because he's awesome to listen to. So anyway.
F1.5.
F1.5 is here.
It is here.
It's here.
I doubted you'd be able to make this happen, didn't I?
I know you doubted me, but you should have. And I've even put our bonus. I've put our bonus points in as well for the little subcategory that I've been thinking. I'll tell you about in a minute as we officially launch it. So we are here. We are ready to go. F1.5. For those who have never tuned in and followed along and are aware of what F1.5 is, it was the brainchild of us about 4 or 5 years ago where we were just getting the same results. It was like Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, and it was just everyone out front. And we thought, well, what would it look like if those results were removed from the driver championship? And who is actually the form driver that's leading outside of those drivers? So we go through the results. Have gone all the way back to round 1. Now I'll talk you through Lawson and Tsunoda in a minute as I go through that too. But there are 12 drivers this year. There are 12 drivers.
Yes.
I ummed and ahed about Williams for a very long time, and I've put them in.
Williams?
Yep.
What, were you not going to put them in?
Well, I wasn't sure. I ummed and ahed. I was
hang on. This is the team that you...
I know, this is what I'm saying, because you kept saying they're doing so well. So
he was not wanting them to win.
So anyway, but they're in. So that's okay. They're in. But yeah, anyway, so they're in. So we've got 12 drivers. So every week, 2 drivers will not score points. So I've gone all the way back to round 1.
How exciting.
Yeah, how exciting that we're going to have non-scorers. All the way back to round 1, recalculated the race results that don't include McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes.
Yep.
Including Antonelli, so they're all out.
Back to our roots.
Back to the roots. Now, because Lawson is currently an RB driver, he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And his first 2 rounds include his points that he scored as a Red Bull driver.
Did he score points in those rounds?
He did in F1.5.
Oh, I thought he was last.
So, well, yeah, but that's the beauty of F1.5. We've taken 8 drivers out, so we scored points.
Oh, yes, of course. We had people non-finishers.
As well. So anyway, so that's how that works. So even though he was a non-finisher, he was one of the highest-ranked non-finishers in Australia, so he scored points, if that makes sense.
No, it never makes sense.
I know it never makes
sense. Do
not
give
to
points
you.
to non-finishers.
He gets it. So anyway, so he's up points. So he is in. Yuki is out because he is a current Red Bull driver. So that is why Lawson is in.
Correct.
And Yuki's out and doesn't feature. All right. Now, for this year, we don't have points for pole position or anything like that anymore. Good. I love fastest lap. So we are having fastest lap points this year, just to spice it up. So I've gone back through, and every round, any of these 12 drivers, whoever scores the fastest lap
out of the 12
will gain a bonus.
I'm surprised you've managed that.
I'm a multi-talented, multi-skilled person.
I'm surprised.
So 5 points you will get for a fastest lap.
5
really
points?
Emphasizing. I want to make it. I want to make it really spicy in it. I haven't changed the rules, so and you know what? I can do whatever I want because it's my championship. So anyway,
is ridiculous.
So 5 points for a fastest lap. Now I don't have fastest lap from Saudi.
You are the one that complains the most about these
for some unknown
artificial
reason,
things that come into Formula 1.
I can do whatever I like. I don't know why, but we don't have the fastest lap from Saudi out of everyone. It says the results are not available. So anyway, I'll get back to you. You'd be surprised to know how many different drivers do you think out of the 5 rounds, well, out of 4, How many different drivers have scored a fastest lap?
No, probably all of them. Like, there's probably 5 different drivers.
No, there's 4. It was 4. We've had 4 races and 4 different drivers.
Probably 5
scored.
now.
Yeah, well, it could very well be 5. All right, so anyway. Ready for it? All right, let's get into it. I'm just going to give you... see, this is what I like to do, Shane. I like to do random order.
You think you're annoying me, but we've got listeners. We've got listeners that have stopped listening because of the orders you do this in.
They haven't. All right. 12th place. 12th place. Give me a prediction before we get started.
I like a prediction.
All right, give me your first, second, and third. Your 1, 2, 3. Who's leading? Who's second? Who's third?
Oh, wow, You
just off the top of your head. Don't go.
I'm going to go with.
Yep.
Off the top of my head.
Yep.
I'm going to go with. I'll go Hulkenberg. Okay. I don't think that's right. Could be doing.
Okay, for leading.
No, for losing.
Oh, for losing.
Last.
No. Oh, okay, last. Yeah. All right. So you're going Hulk last. Shane, who do you think is dead last at the moment?
Doing.
Okay. All right. Who do you think is leading? Ooh, the championship. Like, who's in front right now?
Elbow or Stroll?
Okay. Who thinks in front?
Stroll.
Okay.
Well, he's got the most points. Well, he's got 10 points anyway.
All right. Give me a second and a third.
Yeah, I'm going to go Albon. Albon for first.
Okay.
Ocon second.
Yep.
I reckon he's picked up some points.
Yep.
Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing someone.
Lots of people.
Hadjar.
Okay, Hadjar for third.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hadjar.
All right.
Oh,
Shane, who's your second and third?
He might be higher.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Hadjar at least third.
Okay, and second?
Second, I'll say Stroll.
Okay, all right.
Stroll.
So last place at the moment on 7 points is Bortoletto.
Oh, is he?
Yep, so 7 points for Bortoletto on
Okay.
12th.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
11th place is Jack Doohan.
Yep.
19 points, which is,
Yep.
not too, whatever. In 10th place, we've got Hulkenberg on 24. So 9th place, we've got Alonso on 32. Which is actually not too bad. He's got a 2, a 0, a 12, a 6, and a 12.
Oh, okay. That's what I saved him big time.
That's why, yep. So, yeah. So 32. Then we've got Lawson with a 6, a 6, a 2, a 4, a 10, and he has fastest lap as well. So he's got a 5 for a fastest lap. So this is when the fastest lap's handy. I think it adds a little bit of spice to it.
So 30 credibility.
So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So 33 points for Lawson there. 34 points, Lance Stroll. Then we've got 49, also with a fastest
Which
lap.
position are we in?
I don't know. I can't. I'm going through the order here.
Surely you can look at it.
Well, I'll just work out top 3. I just write it in my order.
I do it.
I'll remember where we're up to.
Off the top are we?
Then we've got Science with the fastest lap. He's on 49 points as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going down to Gasly. 52 points.
Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, not too bad. Got 2 0 rounds as well for the ex-champion there. So a little bit of room to move. He's had some really good rounds. He's had a 12, a 10, a 25, and that's a win, which was 2 weeks ago. And then he's had 2 zeros and a fastest lap as well, which helps him out there. Isaac Hadjar, 58. So 6 points ahead of Gasly. So that surprises me, I guess, how low he is, because I would have expected him to be a little bit higher there too. No points.
Is he 5th?
He hasn't got
is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, what's he, 4th or 5th?
Right,
I think he is. Yeah, just looking off that. So 58 points. His last 3 rounds are 25, 10, and 15.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. All right, so now we're going into 3rd place. Is that 5th? Yeah, it's 4th. Sorry. So 4th for Hadjar on 58 points.
Yep.
So now 3rd place is Behrman on 61 points, which is really good. 8, 15, 15, 15, and 8. Okay. So very consistent there. Then you've got Ocon in 2nd place.
Which he's a surprise packet, isn't he? Like,
he kind of is,
you
because you
had
wouldn't...
Behrman beating him.
And I would have, before I'd gone through this...
But he's had a couple of good races, I reckon.
And
is that what we're about to be hearing?
Yeah, and you would say that Hadjar has actually been outperforming him in general, but off our point system, he hasn't. Yeah, he's had 3 really good races. So he's had a 10, a win, round 2. Then he had 2 shockers with a 1 and a 6 and an 18, and he's got a 5 point for a fastest lap as well, so 65 there. And our leader is, in fact, Alex Albon on 91.
Wow.
That's a big gap.
It is. He must have been first or second in those races.
That is a win, a second, a fourth, and a second.
Yeah.
So, that's a big
Only the
gap.
one win. Yeah,
Only the one win, but that's consistently second places. So that surprises me. That he's in front, to be quite honest, because I wouldn't have picked. But the gap that he's in front, like he's about 25 points in front.
That doesn't
already.
surprise me. I mean, I picked him, and Ocon probably shouldn't surprise me either because I picked him in second because I'm very clever. Yeah. However, the Ocon one actually does surprise me a little bit because I knew that he'd had some good results.
Just watching the 5 rounds.
But overall, you would have Isaac Hadjar outperforming, not necessarily Albon. I think they've probably been about level. Yeah. But certainly Ocon and Behrman. So.
Yeah. Who's your surprise there out of all that?
Ocon.
I think Hadjar's my surprise. I kind of expected. Yeah, not higher up because he's performed so well.
Yep.
It's reflecting what the actual point standing is with Hadjar. Because you I guess you gravitate to the story behind him and how well he's going. But, he's only in actual 14th position.
Not to say that he's driving poorly, but you would expect him to be a little bit higher there front seat. So anyway, that's F1.5 for round, I guess, 1 of the championship. So anyway, so that's where who are you backing in, fellas? For you turned up to the tab, you got $100. Who are you backing in and saying, I'm locked on for the year, this is my man?
I think it's Stroll
all the way.
No,
34.
Oh no, I don't know. I mean, Alex Albon doesn't surprise me. He's leading.
Yep.
I think that Williams is going to be good enough throughout the year to be competitive.
Yep.
I'm surprised by both Hasses. I mean, they had a couple of good races, but they haven't. I mean, think about where they started the season. We thought they were.
Well, I mean, if you take out the 8s and the 1s and the 6s, you add 10 or 20 points there.
I think Alex Albon is probably. Yeah, and I'll expect to see Science rise up.
There
might be a bit of a battle there.
It could be a little bit of an inter-team battle there. Yep. Who are you backing, Shane?
Yeah, look, I'll have to go the Williams, but also Gasly.
Gasly's an interesting call.
I think so too. I think he'll build nicely into the year.
Okay. Is there anyone? Do you think anyone's going to be at risk of relegation this year, Tristan?
No, I don't.
Really?
I don't think. No. I think that looks pretty set. We were pretty.
Who was the back? Who was their back marker? Who was last?
7
points. Bortoletto
was 7. So if anything, we'll get to that point where it will be just you're out of contention.
I think there'll be lots of teams that will switch off.
Oh, I think so.
Well, not switch off, but stop developing. I mean, we're probably going to see.
But hey, pick up a cheeky 5 points for a faster slap, and you never know. You could find yourself up in the standings. So anineway, it's F1.5.
We may have drivers listening that might
win. We probably do.
Put on
we generally do.
They generally
a set of softs right at the end just to
Pierre Gasly was thrilled when he won the championship.
I'm surprised that the prize-giving gala haven't got in touch with us and that we're actually presenting it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, Pierre Gasly was over the moon. When he won a couple of years ago, he was over the moon.
Can we contribute his current form to us?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Fantasy,
thanks to Chris.
We should talk about fantasy this year, boys.
Should we? I was going to say, there was sort of like a groan over here and a bit of
I've just checked it, and it's good news.
Have you? Good. All right. Yes. I am a little bit more up and about because I've managed to do what I wanted to do last week.
Did you?
And I reckon it's my only time that I've been able to do it. So anyway.
It's a mistake.
Anyway, thanks to Chris at Dr. Auto Art. Get around his Instagram, Facebook, Redbubble, emails, all the socials, and have a look at his great artwork, his helmets. I look forward to seeing an Oscar win artwork, Chris, from this week. Like something
new.
Something I'm looking forward.
I don't think he makes one every time.
I certainly hope he does. Cause
there'll be...
You'll get sick of
so
seeing
many.
There'll be
so
many Oscars and great ones. So anyway, thanks to Chris. If you are in the market for amazing Formula One artwork or even helmets as well, get around Chris at Dr. Auto Art and all of his fantastic work. Top 3 will take home a prize. And I see that you have started over in the corner of the studio. You've started making
an art piece,
a cardboard dinosaur, which is fantastic. And I love that you are thinking, like we're thinking, that you're just going to have to do this at the end of the year, and you're going to have to send it. So, Chris, if you are after
some inspiration,
it's like what colour is it, Shane? I haven't got my glasses.
It's gold and blue, light blue,
with a little bit of green trim.
Yeah, and it's a T-Rex, and it looks like it's made out of boxes.
It is, yes.
It's
cardboard T-Rex. It is a favourite in the house at the moment.
If you're in the market for a gold and blue cardboard T-Rex, about a metre long, then please hit us up on the socials.
What big curriculum level would you put that at?
It looks like something you get your firstborn to do to check that they can, they've got hands and stuff like that. Those checks.
My 6-year-old is very proud of his dinosaur.
Oh, but he has to say that.
No, I didn't make it.
No, you
had
did.
nothing to do with me.
I can see that you had a huge amount of inspiration.
That's what you're telling us.
That's what you're telling us.
I tell you, I would be thrilled if someone thought I was capable of making that.
I was going to say, if anyone tried to ring you on the weekend, they couldn't get in touch with you. I reckon that's why they couldn't get in touch with you, because you're so consumed with that. So
that's very good.
Anyway, we'll take a photo. I'll put it on the socials, actually, instead of your beers this week. Fantasy for the round. I've got distracted with the dinosaur here. Sorry.
We've just opened up a beer, which is
fill the air while I find
which is Rogers Ale, Amber Ale, Rogers beer.
One.
Yep, it is.
It's all about Roger.
It's all about you this week, is it?
Yes, it is. And I came home in top 10. Top 10 I came home in.
All right, so Saudi. Saudi for the round looks a little bit like this. We'll go through... Yeah, so you finished... Where did you finish? You have finished
top 10 for the round.
You have finished... Where are you for the round?
With Nicola Taylor.
10th. Tied for 10th. Yep, so 211 for your good self in 10th. Where did you finish for the round, Shane?
I ran out of fingers and toes.
You've run out of fingers, so you're all the way down the bottom. You keep sort of scrolling through. I finished in 24th place on 203 points.
Huge embarrassment.
Which is not great, but no. I've massaged my team, and I will be on the up from here on in.
The worst thing is I listened to you last week and used a chip.
Yes. Good. What did you go with?
No negatives.
No, that's okay. That was all right.
I was saving it for Monaco.
It wasn't as silly. It wasn't a silly suggestion.
Didn't do anything for me.
Maybe that's my plan all along.
I'm waiting for it to rain.
You're waiting to rain. Anyway, so Shane was scrolling through, and then the top 10 looks like this for Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. David Rojas on 230 points, with Taylor Keith on 220 in second, Aaron Norton on 219 in third, Shay Trek on 218, tied with Dean Holt in fourth place on 218, Stuart Massey in sixth place on 217, Chloe Anderson 215 in seventh, Dino Bandini on 214 in 8th, Jason Carter in 9th on 213, and Nicola Taylor and your good self, and Laws Vanderveer, and Rex Ashley. So you're not really 10th, are you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, are all tied in 10th in air quotes, on 211 points for Saudi for this round. If we go to the championship lead as well.
Less important.
Thanks to Chris. It's Andy Tails leading all comers on 1,109 points. David Parson is in second place on 1,095. Jolyon Dyer in third on 1,079. Nicola Taylor fourth. Roman Merrick in fifth. Dean Holt, Richard Davies in seventh. Rex Ashley, Emily Bruton in ninth place, and Rohan Mita on 985 in 10th. I have gone up. I'm in 19th at the moment, which is all right.
Well done.
Where are you sitting, my good friend?
24th.
Yep, that's not flash. Yeah, 25th on 880 points. And Shane, where do you find yourself?
Dropped to 33rd.
Dropped to 33rd. Chris is letting us down.
Where is he?
He's in 34th.
Yes.
He's a point behind Shane. So, Chris, for God's sake, mate, what are you doing?
Yes.
Get it going. I can't stretch it.
It started to be. It had to be.
I can't get to the point, Chris, where I say if you are participating in the league, that you get something. So whatever you're doing, stop doing it and do the opposite. Now, last week, I got very vocal about fantasy, saying you needed to grab Mercedes really quickly. And you can see that Andy Tails has done exactly that. So, Andy, I hope your team's not a secret, because he's leading all comers with Piastri, Bevan, Hadji, Gasly, Doohan, McLaren and Mercedes. So that's a nice team. That's looking all right.
The winning team this week was McLaren, Mercedes, Ocon, Hadjar, Behrman, Bortoletto and Oscar.
Yeah.
So I think generally what people are going with at the moment is having Oscar, a McLaren and a Mercedes.
Yep.
And there's just hope for the best that you don't lose too many points to everybody else.
That's what I was keen to do last week. I said you need to jump on Mercedes now before it balloons out. I spent all last week trying to do it. It didn't physically happen. However, at the cost of 10 points, I've been able to make it work this week. So I've swung them in, which is great.
So I went to look at changing my team, but do you have to change the whole team?
You can change whatever you like. You don't have to change the whole team. You get 3 free hits.
Yeah, but when I go to manage my team, it's like the whole team's clear, and I didn't want to sit there and do every single.
I think you're pressing the wrong buttons.
You're on the wrong bit, Shane, when you're doing that.
Buttons.
So I've had to move 4 around to make it happen, but I've managed to get Mercedes in because of the price drop of 2 drivers, which has made it possible. So I've got 0.3 of a million left, and I've been able to get Mercedes in. So the team looks a little bit like this now. I've got Piastri, Lawson, and Hadjar, because Lawson dropped $500,000. Mm-hmm. And I've been able to grab Jack because he dropped $500,000. Mm-hmm. So I found the $1 million that I needed to get Mercedes in, and I've been able to throw Bortoletto in, and I've dumped Haas because they made money, and I've been able to swing Mercedes in. So that's what I've got, and I've got Oscar as well. So I've gone the Oscar, the McLaren, the Mercedes.
The Oscar starting with as less money, as Norris, way less money than Norris has been a godsend to lots of people. Yes. I'm sticking with the McLaren-Williams combination. And
that would have scored you really well this week.
And I've got Albon with Oscar and Hadjar, and then Hulkenberg and Doohan.
And see, I think
ones I'm hoping don't cost me too much.
And that's why I'm wanting to get Mercedes in like it was last week, because the sprint rounds for a constructor is just going to pay off more than what having a likes of like an Albon or a Sainz, which are going to score you 20 or 30 points.
Yep.
Where a constructor will score you 90 to 100 points. So anyway, did you do predict this week? Because I did predict this week.
I did. Yes.
Oh, let's do it. Maybe this is our thing. It's like every second week. I did pretty well actually.
Did you?
I scored 75 points this round.
Well
How
done.
many points did you score?
Don't know. Let me see. 60 this week.
Okay, right, there you go. All right, so podium, let's go through one question at a time. Podium, I went Oscar, Lando, and Max. I got Oscar correct, so double. We got 10 for that one. And I had Max in third. So
I had the exact same prediction.
Okay, cool. All right, so 25 points there. Pole, I had Oscar for pole.
Oscar for pole.
Yep. And it was Max. Qualifying highest, I backed Lawson in and got 15 points for that one.
Did you?
I did.
No, I missed that one.
Okay, yep. That could be the difference there. And then how far will Lance get in qualifying? I mean, I was tempted to go no time set, but Q1 just was obviously the thing.
I went for Q2.
Oh, you idiot.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah.
No, you weren't.
No.
You weren't.
Clearly not.
So, no, Q1. I got the classified finishes correct.
Me too.
I had 18.
Yep,
so 15 points there. Will there be a safety car or VSC? Yes.
Always has been 100% record.
Fastest lap of the race, I went with Max.
I went with Charles.
Okay, that's different. And obviously it was Lando. Which team will get the fastest pit stop? I went McLaren.
I went Racing Bulls.
Okay, and it was Ferrari in the end. Who finished the race ahead? I don't know if I missed seeing Fernando in those questions there, but I had Jack.
As if you were going to choose Fernando.
Well, I don't feel...
He was the right answer, by the way.
Yeah, I know he was the right answer.
I had Jack as well, out of Lawson and Bortoletto.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing Fernando
and I'll put my double chips on that one.
Oh, did you? Yep, okay, makes sense. Who will be ahead in the team standings between Williams and Haas? I went Haas.
I went Williams.
And that's where I used my double chips, so that didn't work out. Anyway, so that's it. So 75 for me for this round. All right, well, maybe Predictor's our 2-weekly thing. I say that. We'll both remember next week.
Who knows? The problem is they don't open up now.
No.
If they opened up sooner, I'd get in some banker predictions and then justify it and change it around later on.
Yeah, wait for practice and stuff like that too. Interesting.
News. Yeah, there's a little bit of news.
Okay.
There's a little bit of news. So we've probably stayed away from the engine talk a little bit recently. There's been lots of conversations happening with teams where... There is a concern that the 2026 engine is not going to have the power required to build batteries across a lap. And so that the problem is that they feel like they're not going to be powerful enough to run the cars and charge batteries, which is going to cause for some interesting / boring racing is the fear. I actually don't hate the idea of not being able to build a battery up straight away, just whenever you like. I don't mind that they've got to build it over some time. I think it could create some interesting battles and interesting ways that people might be using batteries across a race. I do have some concerns about engines not being powerful enough. I think that's not something we want to get down the path of. So anyway, there was some emergency talks, and it was sort of like, no one really thought that these were going to get off the ground because 2026 engines are in full swing. And it was discussed and decided that it wasn't completely squashed, but it was still unlikely to get off the ground. Well, some further talks this weekend is actually moving the discussions along that there might be some changes coming to the way that these engines are being built, which is interesting because I would have thought someone like Mercedes, who have been crying about where they're at, would be anywhere. Like, you'd think that they'd be trying to knock this on the head really quickly, but I think even they're on board. So, yeah, I don't know where. They've kept it pretty private where they think it's at now, but it's not completely squashed. We might see some changes to those regulations for next year, which could prove to be really, really important, particularly with teams like Audi coming in and building their own engines.
Yep.
Teams like Red Bull, who are now building their own engines.
Yep.
Well, with obviously Ford as a name badge, but I think they're actually building them.
Yeah, they'll be a construction.
Yeah, partner. and then Honda putting a lot behind where they're at. Obviously, Alpine are going to Mercedes engines. So, yeah, it is going to be a really important component. And there was a little bit of a worry that if a team absolutely nailed it, it might shut the championship down a little bit. So, yeah, it'll be a bit of a watch. Any other news?
No, I feel like we're very light on news. It's just all
everyone sort of gets through a little bit.
Yeah, I have been diving back into Drive to Survive.
Oh, yeah, have you?
I've been enjoying it, to be quite honest. It's been a really good... I mean, I tuned off like I'm sure most people halfway through did when the racing started, but it's actually been really good. I would dare say one of the best seasons, to be quite honest.
Well, it was one of the seasons I wanted to watch it.
Yeah,
but then I have been preoccupied.
Into it.
I've gotten into Mobland. It's a new show on Paramount at the moment in Australia. It's on Paramount. It's very, very good, but I'm out of episodes, so maybe I'll turn it back on. We'll see. Shane, you got any suggestions for us?
No.
No. Okay.
Sorry.
No, jeez. Okay.
Actually, so my wife was watching Running Point or a basketball one.
Yes. Kate Hudson?
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen that. Yep. We do tend to consume a bit of TV because Tara works most nights in front of the TV and I end up sitting there getting bored. But, yeah.
The biggest thing from Drive to Survive, even though I haven't seen it, is the Zach Brown statement about, we're now entering the Lando era, and then people have memed it this week with Lando's now entering the Mazepin, all the crashed people Sargent
I do like
era.
That. You know what we need to have? Maybe Shane can have a memes segment on this. This program.
I think that's good. I think if Shane has a segment,
current memes,
and then even if Sam comes back for his reserve driver sort of appear. I think that's a great idea. If you would like to send in a suggestion for a segment... Oh, that reminds me of segments. And I saw on the TV the other night, on Channel 7, it was a reference. It was Are They Awake?
Oh.
So it's called Are They Awake? Which is the exact opposite of How Are They Sleeping? But it talked about a footballer who had a shocking weekend... Oh. And then, Are They Awake? Still thinking. I was like, wow, what have you done? Surely this hasn't caught onto other channels and broadcasts and sports and segments. So anyway, I wonder if you can, fill your pockets with lawsuits and stuff like that with Are They Awake? And
so is Lawrence Stroll awake?
How are they sleeping? So
is there a How They Are Sleeping segment for this week before we finish up?
I hope not.
Maybe. What about the development teams for 2026? How are they sleeping?
Shane, how are they sleeping?
Development teams.
Yeah, so for the 2026 team. So obviously Adrian Newey is leading the charge with Aston Martin. How's the Aston Martin 2026 development team sleeping with Adrian Newey on board?
Well, I guess some of them are sitting there thinking he's going to steal our thunder.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be putting together this great car, which they probably haven't, but
no.
They could have been, and he's going to come in and everyone's just going to go, oh my God, you are a god.
So you reckon they're sleeping jealously?
Jealously, I would say.
How do you sleep jealously?
How do you sleep jealously?
Well, big green
not sleeping properly. Yeah, that's right. Not sleeping properly. I think the Aston Martin 2026 team have all gone, they've been sleeping all 2025 because they didn't do anything. 2024 because they didn't do anything for this car. And now that Adrian Newey's gone in, they'll be just, oh, well, he's going to do it all. We can continue to sleep. So they're just full-time siestas at the moment out there. Any other 2026 development teams, how they're sleeping? I don't think there's much sleep being happening at Mercedes now that this engine might be thrown in the air. They were quite confident with where they're at. So, yeah, there's a bit of panic happening there. No, maybe not the best Are They Sleeping segment. We'll work on it. Anyway, keep it a listen out for Fan Frenzy. That will be coming out later in the week. But until... Oh, Miami. What's going to happen in Miami, boys?
Max will win.
Oh, a Max win. Oh,
very bullish on Max.
Big call. I'm going to go.
I had him as my world champion pre-season. Remember that?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Yep. I'm going to go a Lando win. Lando likes this track. I think it was his first win last year.
It was his first win. That was the safety car win.
Yep. Oh yeah, it was too. Yep. So now I'm going to go a Lando win. I think he showed signs that he was looking pretty good last week. Mind you, the confidence must be shot on the man. Who's going to win?
Yeah, I actually think Lando's going to bounce back. Unfortunately.
Do we like Miami? Do we like the Miami track?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that, isn't it? It'd be a good one to have every couple of years.
I feel like I forget about it and the general layout until we talk about it and watch it, and then I don't.
Can't say I've ever driven it. Like, I've driven lots of tracks on different games.
Yeah.
I've never driven Miami
but
on
even
anything.
watching it, like, you know the circuit layout.
Yeah,
like,
I know. But
Red Bull Ring, I know what the circuit layout is, but you say what's the circuit layout of Miami? I'll be like, I really don't.
Yeah.
No, like I can't remember until I see.
There's those quite technical corners, isn't there?
Yeah, and then a big straight, and then I can't tell you the rest.
There's a big sweeping straight with then you into sort of like a Melbourne dog leg-esque sort of. Yeah. It could be replaced quite happily, couldn't it?
Yeah, I could.
I quite like the vibe of the joint.
I
like what they do there. They sort of made it like the Showtime one, I guess.
It was sort of going to be the Vegas before we had Vegas, and now it's not.
It's trying to be an Arco, isn't it? Like,
outdone it.
Yeah, for sure, because that's what they were trying to be before we got to the boulevard, and now it's just become a little bit sort of obsolete. To be quite honest, I go without it happily. Like
if they're going to have 3 races in America, I'd like to see a couple other tracks come up and rotate.
Yeah, go back to
Miami.
Daytona or something like that. I think go back to the Brickyard.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's. It always brings the hype, doesn't it, with the celebrities?
Yeah.
But until then, we've got Fan Frenzy coming up. Keep an eye out for it. Goodbye now.